Now that I've showcased the exterior and engine bay of the Nizzy, then it's time for a close quarters cockpit clean. So while the exterior of the 370Z generally upstages the interior, a fair few people have asked to see the Nismo's 4,500 mile inner sanctum being tended to, so thought I'd oblige with a video running through my routine maintenance cleaning procedure using a few familiar tools and products. Despite having not been touched in 6 weeks, it still wasn't particularly messy, but what can I say? Dirt doesn't like me. Still, some might find it useful to see how to best keep low mile, lightly soiled interiors in as new condition. And to be fair, dirty or not, it's still a faff to maintain, as navigating my 6'3" and a bit frame around the compact driver focused cockpit always requires a certain amount of contortionism. So bear with me as I attempt to do just that, but this time with a big heavy camera in tow. First though, props to the video sponsor Raid Shadow Legends for reaching out and supporting my content. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I'm not a big gamer, as any time spent in front of a screen these days is usually reserved for editing YouTube videos. But having come from early gen consoles with crude pixels and unpolished polygons, I can still appreciate slick modern gameplay, and this realistic dark fantasy, which is free to download for both mobile and desktop, illustrates just how far things have come. Raid Shadow Legends separates itself from other RPGs in that there's no cartoon candy or fluffy unicorns to mess up your mobile street cred. Just hardcore, high-res, upgradable champions that you can use to challenge yourself in various ongoing local and global tournaments, or to take on the entire raid community while fighting in areas like the Spider's Den, the Dragon's Lair, at Gollum's Peak, or of course the mighty Fire Knight's Castle. And that, plus the fact there's a fresh patch coming this May to allow for awesome new tournament fun and tier related points and rewards acquisition, is why I chose to share it with you. As someone with an eye for detail, the immersive graphics and silky smooth frame rate impressed me from the start, as did the different game modes and factions of champions that can be summoned with special mystery shards that are earned from defeating certain foes. With most of us having more time on our hands than usual at the moment then, why not join the 10 million plus others that have already downloaded the game for free, myself included, playing as Kranzel King, by clicking the link in the description below and putting your otherwise twiddling thumbs to good use with the 50,000 silver, an epic new champion you'll receive as part of the new player programme. So, as with any interior clean, in depth or not then, a thorough going over with a vac, in this case a Mini Henry, is almost always my first port of call. Working back to front makes sense for me, so the naff boot carpets and equally naff surrounding plastics, which granted weren't particularly dirty to begin with, were given a good going over with a crevice tool and soft dusting brush attachment. Once I'd spent 10 minutes or so on the boot, I moved on to the confined cockpit, repeating the process with both the dusting brush and crevice tool for all of the various interior surfaces, nooks and crannies, including the seat backs and cubby spaces behind them, which can serve to accumulate bits and bobs blown in when driving with the windows down. While some may prefer to simply wipe a towel over lightly dusted surfaces like these, I prefer to properly vac them off so I know for certain that the dirt and dust, however light, is being removed and not just displaced from one area to another. Similarly, before wiping delicate areas like infotainment screens and gauge clusters, a super soft detail factory brush is used to gently remove any dust from them, which the vacuum brush tool would almost certainly scratch and scuff. For a vac complete, the Alcantara wrapped steering wheel was then cleaned to exfoliate any hand sweat. Now, the key to keeping on top of absorbent synthetic material like this, in my experience, is simply to clean it on a regular basis. And for that, I use the antiseptic smelling Finesse Total Interior Cleaner and a few general purpose towels to dab it into, then soak it up from the wheel, which seems to work well as it still looks, feels and smells just like I assume it did the day it was trimmed. While the red Alcantara on the seats didn't really need anything more than a quick vac, I thought I'd still illustrate how I'd go about giving it a light spruce up using the same interior cleaner, which, after being spritzed over the surface and wiped off the surrounding leather, was worked into the upholstered panels with a damp, freshly wrung out towel to spread it more effectively, before finishing up with a final vac to pull out any damp residue. I then repeated this for the driver's side door card, again just to illustrate the process, which would probably be carried out every second or third time that the interior was tended to. The passenger side, on the other hand, was just treated to a simple vac, as there generally isn't much traffic that side, as I've got no mates. Alcantara bits out the way, some gentle Dodo Dew supernatural leather cleaner which serves to simply maintain the leather's protective coating as opposed to attempt to condition or protect it, was used in conjunction with a few fresh general purpose towels to give the leather portions of the seats a quick cleanse. And although applying to a towel and wiping over is safer when working in the direct sun, spraying it directly onto the surface and spreading it by hand before buffing is far more satisfying, and also makes you look like you really know what you're doing, even if it makes no difference to the cleaning whatsoever. So no conditioners, sealants or other lotions or potions, just factory fresh looking and smelling low mile leather. So to finish up the light leather clean then, the stitched gear gaiter was also wiped over with a supernatural primed towel, as it's an easily overlooked part that sees a lot of action and so needs to be kept clean, supple and contaminant free. The plastics and trim were then sorted with some trusty water-based 303 Aerospace Protectants, which for the most part my expensive new video camera completely failed to record me doing. Now to be honest, a quick spot clean would have sufficed, but it's still a bummer when a few quality shots go to waste. But as you'll see in the subsequent afters, all of the trim was thoroughly tended to with the protectant, recorded or not. Last up was a glass and screen clean using some perfect glass from Gtechniq. The easily scratchable infotainment screen and soft plastic gauge fascias were first gently wiped over with a plush double density buffing towel, a corner of which had been spritzed with the cleaner before being lightly buffed off. Minimal fingerprints due to steering wheel controls and a lack of casual snotting all over my gauges meant there wasn't much cleaning to be done, but it still makes sense to give them a gentle wipe over once in a while to help keep them crystal clear. The inside of the windows were then treated to the same Gtech product, although it was worked over with a dedicated lint-free glass cloth and buffed off with a general purpose towel here instead. Now I still need to do a dedicated glass cleaning video as a lot of people have trouble getting it right, but for now I'll just say that the more often you do it the better it progressively gets in my experience. To finish the job off, my attractive carbon knob was given a quick tickle to remove any streaks and smears from the previous 6 weeks worth of playing with it, as although it's only going to get grabbed again soon, it's important to at least try and keep this tactile part of your inner sanctum as clean and contaminant free as possible. Before filming some afties then, I quickly ran Henry over all of the freshly maintained surfaces one last time to collect the dandelion fluff that had been floating in throughout the day and ensure I hadn't missed any bits before turning it over to the expert eye of YouTube. Now obviously a 4,500 mile interior ain't going to show a huge transformation, and I've probably been preaching to the converted for the most part with a video like this, but still it's always nice to see the maintenance methods and product choices of others, so let me know of anything you reckon might work well on the Nizzies in Tizzy now you've seen it, and in return I'll make sure that next time I'm back with a dedicated interior cleaning video, it's a proper manky one.